Hello and welcome to another goals session video. I'm Devani Alderson.
And I'm Leora Alderson.
We are the co-founders of the I Create Daily brand, a movement for creators serious about their art, and we're the co-hosts of the I Create Daily podcast and the co-creators of the 90-Day Goals Journal, a journal for artists serious about their art. And in this goals video training and session that we're doing, we're just going through the entire process of deciding, setting, and creating goals, and sort of how to go about that for the year through, we're starting with like annual goals all the way down to the daily micro goals that you set for yourself. And so if you've seen the previous videos, this is just the next step of refining your goals. And if you haven't seen the previous videos, I definitely recommend you watching them. They're linked in the article below. And so Leora is going to talk about the 7-step decision-making process.
Yes, and so previously we talked about defining your goals, your top 5 goals that you want to achieve. And then this is the process of refining them. And that includes if you're not even certain what they might be. So here that is. If you're having a hard time narrowing down your top 3 to 5 things, this is a 7-step process that will take you deeper into discerning that. So first, list your top 10 to 25 goals under consideration. So if on the previous exercise you couldn't come up with just 5, then this is the place where you can list all the ones that come to mind. Somewhere around 10 to 25 is typical, but whatever it is for you. And just list them all. Just, free flow, brainstorm, and get them on paper. Ask yourself, once you have those down, then ask yourself and place a check mark next to each of your goal items that you've listed to which this applies. So these are the questions you're going to ask yourself. Which of these things will move me closer to my career and life goals? So look at your list, and for each one to which you would answer yes to this question, put a check mark next to it.
If you guys are just listening to the audio of this, I definitely recommend either watching the video, or if you don't have the journal, at least just having re-listening to this where you can sit down and do the exercise as we're walking you through it, because this is a very tactical, it's a tactical video that you'll want to actively do.
Yeah. So again, you've listed your goals, your 10 to 25 goals. The first question you've asked is, which of these will move me closer to my career and life goals? So any of those that apply, you put one check mark next to those items. The next question to ask, which of these things can be done in the least amount of time? Then you come back and you put a check mark next to all of those that apply to which you would say yes to that question. And then the fourth thing you asked, or the next thing you ask, is which of these things can be done in the least amount of effort? So go back through your entire list and put a check mark next to those things which could be done with the least amount of effort. Now, you may have some things that have a check mark so far. By now, the 3 check marks. Some will have none, and some may have 1 or 2. So that's the way it should be. And then the last question to ask is, which of these things can be done in the least amount of cost? Actually, not the last thing, but for this particular set, it is. Okay, so you've asked which will move you closer, and you put a check mark to those. Which can be done in the least amount of time? So first thing you focused on is your goals, next is time. The next thing is effort, which can be done with the least amount of effort. And then the last thing on that will be cost, which can be done with the least amount of cost. So now go through and you've got a list, and some of them have more than one check mark next to them.
And it's okay if something doesn't have a check mark at all.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean you'll never do it. It just might mean that right now in the order of priority, it's not necessarily the top thing that you'll want to focus on.
Exactly. So which of these things, and then now you're asking yourself another question. Which of these things, so you're looking back at your list, which of these things do I most want to do and enjoy? And you will place a star next to those things. So now you go back through your list and identify which of these things you most want to do and you most enjoy. And place a star next to as many of those that apply. Okay, now you probably have at least one thing on your list that has multiple checks and a star. If so, circle it. Circle any that have 2 or 3 or more checks and a star. You circle it, the ones that have the most checks plus a star, and that is your next goal or goals to focus on. So let's say that ideally you have 4. Let's say that you've ended up with 4 things that have more than one check mark and a star. or have the most check marks and a star. Now, those are going to be the things that you focus on. Let's say that each one of those would fit into 1 quarter. I mean, that would be tidy and perfect. It doesn't always work out that way, but let's just say for this scenario that it did. Now, you would potentially have those 4 goals that you want to achieve by the end of the year. And then you would allocate each one of those to a specific quarter or 90-day period. So let's see what else. So then you keep going back to your list until you've got the next thing. And then you decide, and then you allocate those into your 90-day goals, which will come up in the next session, actually.
Yeah.
So do you have anything else?
Well, I think what is going to be really interesting to hear from you guys about, and feel free throughout this video series to email us or hop on our Facebook page and ask any questions or comments that you have that might crop up, because we're here to help you out with this process, or just to share your goals. We'd love to hear what you're working on. But also something you might notice is that throughout the year of doing these, you might find that you will achieve your goals quicker than you might think, because you'll have this set structure. And so you might reach, maybe you're at the end of the 3rd quarter and you realize, wow, I've gotten the 4 to 5 things done. And now in my 4th quarter, I have the opportunity to go back through this process and figure out what I want to focus my 4th quarter on, or my 3rd and 4th quarter. So that'll be interesting for you to experience that. That's something we've experienced as well. The more focused we are, the quicker the things get done. And
for those who are on audio podcast and not video, we are fireside. So that loud pop was the fire popping, the crackling wood. So now you will go back on this page that we're working on, page 113 in the 90-day goals journal, and you will have an opportunity to again relist your 5 top goals, or else list additional ones, whatever it is you came up with on this list, whichever one works best for you, whichever system. Both of them work if you work them. So just see which one works best for you. And to close with a quote from one of our favorite visionaries, Tony Robbins. The quote is, "Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible."
And with that, we will see you on the next video, which is going to be about setting the quarterly goals.
Your 90-day goals.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.